Hello, friends. I- Hello, friends. I welcome you to another interesting tutorial in our Photoshop class. And it is my pleasure to welcome you again. And if you have been following our tutorial from the beginning, I believe you have been learning something new in Photoshop. And in today's Photoshop tutorial, I'm going to teach you guys how you can create a simple business card using Adobe Photoshop. Right? So without wasting much of our time, there are some of the elements you need to integrate in your business card. One of the elements is your phone icon, your mail icon, and your web icon. All these icons can be downloaded straight from www.freepik.com. So you can download those icons in EPS file, then you make use of it in your Adobe Photoshop design, right? So without wasting much of our time, so let's get to this training started. So first thing we need to do in print design, we need to understand that print design always comes with CMYK color, right? I believe you understand all these principles. So there is no need for me to explain much about that, since you have learned that in my Photoshop color psychology, right? So we have to go to File now from the Home tab here. Then we select New. So if you are using Adobe Photoshop CC 2017, this is how the page setup layout is going to look like. But if you are using anything below Adobe Photoshop CC 2017, it's not going to look like this, but we are still going to follow the same procedure. So there is no issue about I'm using anything below fashion 20 CC 2017, or I'm using anything CSCs or CS5 or whatsoever. So this tutorial is cover any version of Adobe Photoshop. All right. So all you have to do is to watch the step I'm taking to do the layout and see how I apply the tools to create the simple business card in Adobe Photoshop. All right. So at this point here, this is where you set your page. So we come here and type our design title. So simple business card. Right. So we come down here, we type the width is going to be 3.25. Then the height is going to be 1.75. Then it's at this point you will always make use of inches. Then at this point we are going to try to create a landscape orientation business card. So not portrait. We can switch to landscape from this point here. Right. So having switched to the landscape, then we move down below here. We make sure that this place is checked to be CMYK color. This is very much important. Then our resolution should always be 300 pixels, right? So with all these settings now, we are done with the first stage of our setting in business card. The next thing we are going to do is to click on create. Right, so the second step in our page layout setting for business card is to grab our ruler. So in some cases, if you don't have, you can see from the screen here, my ruler is already been active. But if you don't have your ruler active, all you have to do is to go to the home tab here. click on view, then make sure your ruler is checked, right? So make sure your ruler is checked. So if your ruler is checked, you'll be able to see your ruler in the Photoshop, right? So now I will drag my ruler from horizontal and vertical. Then I can press Ctrl minus just to zoom in the entire document so that we can see the full canvas of the Photoshop. So I need my ruler from the top here also. All right, so another step to take in Photoshop business card design is to create a bleed area for our design. So how do we do that? It's a very simple thing. All you have to do is to go to your home tab, then click on image, then look for canvas size. So this is going to pump up. The 3.25 by 1.75 is not the right size for business card. By the time we are done with the setting, you will see the actual size of business card, which is 3.5 by 2. So at this point here, this is where we had a bleed area. So why do we need to have a bleed area is because whenever you are trying to print something out from the machine, you always have a bleed area so that by the time the printer are done with the job, they'll be able to cut out some unrelevant area. So that is the more reason why we had a bleed area. So at this point here, the width, we are going to type 0.25. I'm going to flog you. 0.25. Okay, go. Then by 0.25 again. And 0.25. Right? Then we make sure that the relative is checked. This is very much important. You must click on this place if it is not already been checked. Then we come here and click on OK. Now you can see expansion on the page layout. So the next thing we are going to do is to continue to drag our ruler from vertical and horizontal. And we'll snap here. Okay. So the next step is to go back to our home tab again. Click on image, canvas size. Now, from the point here, we have our business card size to be 3.5 by 2, which is the actual size of a business card. So we have created the size and the safe zone. So the next thing to do is to create the bleed area. So we go back to our width size column and type another 0.25. Then we move to height column. We type another 0.25. Then we make sure the relative is checked. Then we come here and click on OK. So we can drag the ruler. right? So I'll press Control minus to zoom in the entire Photoshop canvas so we can see the whole thing. So now this is a standard layout for any business card design in Adobe Photoshop, right? So now the next thing to do is to start our design. So all you have to do is to come down below here to make a new layer. That's the first thing to do. So when you make a new layer, then you now go to so you now go to your tools bar here, select your pen tools. So this is the pen tools. So after you select your pen tools, you need to look at the home tab here to see the pen tools property. So at this point here, I'm going to change the color. I'm going to change the color to black. Then I'll make sure there is no fill, right? So in the long run, we will still change the color to appropriate color taste for our design. So I will try as much as possible to make this design very simple so that anybody can practice the design. So I'm going to start from the below button and to the top. Then I'll press that shift key and take my mouse like this. Let me zoom the camera. Then shift key again, take my mouse down. And shift key again, take it down here. Now I've closed the part, right? So I have to come down here again and make a new layer. Now let me zoom the camera again. So I will start another part from this angle here, then down here, then I'll press shift key down and make a stroke, then shift key again and close the part here. Right? So I have to change a color here so that I will be able to differentiate between the stuff. So I'll come to the layer panel here. I will double click my layer thumbnail. So we can change this color now so that we'll be able to differentiate between the two colors. So now, one other thing I'm going to do is that I'll come down below here again to make a new layer. So having make a new layer, then I'll go back to my pen tools again. Then I will make a part from this point here. I will make another part. Okay, so I can double click, come to layer thumbnail here and double click. So having double click is going to bring up the color palette. So I will change this color also. So later I will still use our appropriate color for our design. I'll click on OK. Okay. Now, at this point here, there is we almost done with our layout design. But one other thing I want us to do here is that I want us to add another stuff here. So I'll come back to my layer panel. I create a new layer again. Then I will select my pen tools again. Then we make another part here. You just have to follow the process. It's very simple stuff. Then we close the part here. So we come here again to the layer thumbnail. We double click the layer thumbnail, and we can change the color as well. Click on OK. So at this point here, I'm done with the shape style of this business card. So the next thing we are going to do is to apply appropriate color for our design. So in this regard, I'm thinking of using orange or green color. So how do we try to play around with our color? So let's see how we do it. So I will start from this layer here, the dark layer. Then I will double click from the layer thumbnail, I will double click it just to bring out the color palette. So I will now start to play around with the color. So I'm trying to use green. So we can control the wheel until we're satisfied with the color scheme. Then we can click on OK. Right. So we'll go back to this below layer. Then I will double click the layer thumbnail. So we use our eye color dropper now to select the color here. But in this regard, we are going to use lemon green now. And I'll click on OK.